Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. I'm very excited for the episode that I have for you today. This person that's coming on today in this episode actually came in episode 144. I'm reading here. Adam is like a cornerstone for us. He's been massive support in the industry. Every conference that we go to, he's there speaking, telling all the secrets, right? He's also the host of Podcasting Business School. He has an incredible coaching business. He works like 3 times a week. And, you know, that's a dream for a lot of people. He has an incredible family. And today he came on because I asked him specifically. It's like, dude, I've seen you on Threads, killing it on Threads on that platform. Your podcast does really good. He's way past 1 million downloads. He used to be in the fitness industry. He's not there anymore. But also he had a great business over there with publishing. And I just see Adam and I see simplicity, like, you know, clarity, all the things that as business owners sometimes we're chasing. So I'm like, dude, come on the pod. Let's talk about these things. And let me tell you, he blew my mind. He gave us the entire roadmap that he has with his current publishing strategy. And it's super simple. It doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't take a lot of resources, which a lot of businesses and people think, right? The right equipment, the right things to use. So I'm so excited to bring you in. Some of the things that we talked on the first episode is actually understanding how to close the gap, being profitable as well. The perfect podcasting ecosystem, turning your small audience into raving fans. So that's episode 1. And today is almost like the continuation of that. So if you have some time, go to episode 144 with Adam Schaeuble, turn your podcasting hobby into a lucrative side hustle. And we're going to link it right below. But also continue and listen today because it's so impressive what he's been able to do. And he literally gave the roadmap on, you know, how to create it, how to produce it, very low friction. But at the same time, it's like, how do you make that connection with monetizing the podcast? And he shared with us how he does it with a newsletter, with a thread, with his podcast, and how he gets people on the calls and how he's, you know, making people solution, like helping people solve their problems and living the life that he wants to live and that he designed. So anyways, I'm stoked. You can clearly tell. So enjoy the episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Content is Profit. Today we have one of the Hall of Famers here in the show. Every time since we've connected with this person is nothing but laughs and knowledge and podcasting, golden boulders. Adam, welcome back to the show, my man. Thank you for coming here. I wear my hat in honor of you.
Yeah, backwards hat, gray hairs and the beards. But yeah. I thought this was Brews and Bros. I thought that this isn't Brews and Bros podcast. Oh, it's Content is Profit. Okay,
Content, yeah. We have the official sign, right behind here. But the Brews and Bros, that's like OG material right there. For those like new listeners, the first episode of Content is Profit was actually called Brews and Bros, and we had to like sunset that show very quickly.
After half an episode, that one got canceled.
Yes, yeah, I almost lost my laptop because of it. You know, a beer just like spilled on it. It's like, yeah, don't drink beer while you're podcasting if you have your laptop next to you. Pro tip. But dude, Adam is, we're just chatting here offline a little bit. And funny story about my beard. Luca came the other day, my 6-year-old. He's like, Papa, your hair is changing colors. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when you're like, you're smarter, and the smarter you become, the more white you're going to see.
Yeah. It's like that guy in Lord of the Rings, Greybeard, man.
Yeah.
Smartest guy in the whole thing.
Absolutely. For those who don't know Adam, you guys can check him out. Episode 144. Can you believe that, Adam? Like this is, I think 500 something, and that you came in 144.
I mean, I'm just glad to be in that the first 200 to experience Content is Profit and drop some golden boulders and have fun with Luis and Fonzie. And shout out to Fonzie, new father.
Yes, new father.
Very excited about that.
Yeah, man. So it's a little bit of a shame that we don't have him here with us. He's the one that, brings the fire and the knowledge. So I'll do my best to maybe, steer this conversation. But we've connected recently in a couple of conferences. Every single podcasting conferences, you're there, man. It's always a pleasure to see you. And like, you have an incredible community. You have an incredible group of people that you help and support in this world of podcasting. and very excited to chat a little bit about some of the things and strategies that you're using today with, your own show and the people that you help to kind of grow it and keep people interested. Before we get started, I want to highlight one of your claims to fame is that you work like 3 days a week ish and you're very successful. You live the life that you design. So for a lot of people, a lot of creators or business creators, that's super attractive.
Yeah. And my theme for 2025 is less, but better. So I challenge myself to simplify everything. I always ask myself, do I actually have to and need to be doing this? Do I need to and have to create a new offer? Do I need to and have to accept a new client or a proposal from somebody to work together? Just simplifying everything, even from I took my show from 2 days a week down to 1 day a week because I'm really doubling down on my newsletter, which I consider my second piece of valuable content. Yeah. So lots of things shifting around. I'm always looking to optimize and simplify.
So cool, man. I think that's so important, because, with a lot of people that come to the studio or we chat about it, it's like, what else can we do? And they just keep adding things to the plate. And sometimes we get in that train as well. And it's like super, scary sometimes. And, if we just talked about Fonzie becoming a dad, and I'm looking at the next 2 months with the plans that we had in our boards. And I'm like, I think maybe it's time to maybe scratch off some of those things and not do them at all.
Yeah. I think in the content creator space in general, we feel the need to be everywhere and do everything. And I feel like a lot of people's brands and podcasts specifically, they feel like they aren't growing because they aren't doing enough, but it's actually the opposite. They're doing too many things, and too many things not done well leads to no progress. That's where the whole less but better, okay. Yeah. Even on social media, you can be and post on lots and lots of platforms with AI and repurposing and all that. You can show up, so to speak, but you can only really effectively engage on one, maybe two platforms.
That's right.
So we got to think in different terms now as content creators.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think, part of the service that we offer too is giving those tools for people to kind of be, a little bit wider range in platforms type deal, or if they want to go higher volume. And I do believe there's everything has a place, but at the same time, we have reduced the frequency of our show as well, from 3 times a week now to 2 times a week. And we've done some reruns and we've been running some experiments in the background. And for those listening, check out the latest episode. We talked about some experiments we're running on YouTube for our video podcast side that we never really paid enough attention. Our main platform is audio. And so there's interesting things there. And one of the things that I admire you, Adam, from you is the fact that you are hyper focused on how you do your promotions and how you keep track of the things that you do and just continue to simplify. So, will you mind sharing maybe some of the things that you're doing today? And you're the Thread King, that platform that came out, what was it, maybe a year ago, year and a half ago. Yeah. And everybody was like, this is so hype. And again, maybe I posted a couple of things there, but not intentionally. So I'm very curious specifically on that side, but also, what are you doing with your newsletter as well?
Yeah. So those are kind of my two big, new, important focus points are the Threads social media platform and my email list growth via my newsletter. So, first things first, with Threads, I'm not going to be that guy that tells people that they have to be on a platform, oh, you're an idiot if you don't post on Threads. And people are like, what is Threads? I've never even heard of it before. So Threads is Meta's version of Twitter. It's their competing variation of Twitter. It's a primarily text-based platform, and it opened up basically a year and a half ago. People did go hard with it at the beginning. They're all excited about it, and they kind of burn out and go, oh, well, it's this is the next Clubhouse. I heard that a lot. And one of my entrepreneurial superpowers is implementation. And I'm not the smartest or the most creative or the best looking or the richest or whatever, but I will outshow up my competitors. And that's just period, end of story. So I saw a lot of people bounce in and bounce out. And I bounced in, I just kind of sat back and I waited for people to learn. And then about 8 months into it, I found some people doing it the way that I wanted to do it. And I paid them to teach me, which is a pro tip. That is the first golden boulder of the episode. Find people that are doing what you want to do and freaking pay them to teach you how to do it and implement their strategies more efficiently and effectively. So I paid a couple people and I really started getting traction to the point where I have just, like for Instagram, I've scratched and clawed and fought to get to 2,900 followers and like since 2018. And I've been posting consistently on Threads 3 to 8 times a day, pretty much every single day since November. So we're going on about 4 months, and I'm going to pass my Instagram in 4 months as to what it took me to, 5 years, 7 years on Instagram. I'm going to pass that amount of, and I'm getting clients. That's the other thing. That's the important part. Yeah. Engaged listeners, clients, newsletter subscribers. And the thing I like about Threads is that it's text. So don't post video, don't post images, even don't do well. And I can just have a thought. I can post 8 times a day on Threads. That freaks people out, but I go, it takes me 1/2 the amount of time it takes me to create an Instagram reel to post 8 times a day on Threads. Yeah. And they're like, mind blown. Yeah. This is crazy. And it's written content, which I love. And it feeds right into my newsletter, which is also written content. And I can repurpose a lot of that. A lot of my threads are my content flywheel as podcast episode. Then I eventually talk about that topic in my newsletter. I take all that text and break it up into threads posts, and it all just works together. So that's the thread strategy right now.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. And recently we've been talking a lot about these 6 phases where we've identified, at least in our creation process, and we've kind of confirmed with a lot of people where it's like, you have your message, which is, the things that you talk about, and you have the process of creation. So obviously right now we're in a video podcast. So, that involves, where do we do it? The camera, the thing, and then the post-production, which is, you're editing your final product. Then you have your distribution. Like, where do we actually put in this thing? And that's where a lot of people kind of miss it. They think it, by creating the podcast, I'm doing marketing, but we also have to promote the thing. And then you have, how do we connect it to the business side and the revenue side? And then how do we manage all that? So I kind of want to break down the process with you too. Like you kind of mentioned there, you have your podcast as your like main way.
Yep.
And then you turn that into your newsletter, and then your newsletter into several threads throughout the week. Like, and then how do you connect that with like your business, right? You have your coaching business, correct? And then how does that connection work? I think that's where a lot of people might be missing the connection. They put it out there, and then because they put a lot of effort in trying to create these podcasts, almost like they get to the finish line and then they're faint, boom. And then we're like, okay, well now we have to figure these out.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start high level and kind of dive down into it. So the 3 core pieces of content per week, like this is my weekly content strategy. 1, really high value podcast episode. 1, really high value newsletter. But here's also a recent shift. My newsletter is not like a regurgitation of the week's podcast episode. And it's not just a promotion of the week's podcast. I'll barely mention it, but it is an independently valuable piece of content. But what I will do is take a topic that I have covered on my podcast within the last maybe 90 days or 6 months. I just don't want them to be the exact same thing, because I want people going, I need to consume both.
Okay.
That's a key thing now. And that's a strategy I've implemented over the last maybe 2 months. And I'm getting a much higher open rate. My open rate's at 70%. And I've got a 3,000 person list. So it's not a giant list, but people are opening. They're like, I have to go and get this. And since I've stopped doing 2 podcast episodes a week, I take all that extra time and put it into my newsletter and make it robust. Like people are going, like I had people at PodFest this year. They come up to me and go, I read your newsletter every week. They didn't say this in my podcast every week. At PodFest, that was a big deal to me.
Wow.
So those are 2 core pieces of content. And then threads 3 to 8 times a day. 1, super deep dive, long form, what's called a super thread. That's like, an example would be podcasters need to quit accepting every single guest on their show. Here are 3 filters that I use to curate really, really good interviews, something like that. And then it's like post 1, post 2, post 3. So that's a super thread. I do that every day, once a day, but I save them all and you can repurpose those, which is cool. I save every post that I write on threads because if it's a winner, you can use it a month later. I've had one post that's just like, it talks about a podcasting stat about download numbers. And I get hundreds of followers every single time I post that thing. And I've posted it probably 5 times. You know,
like, this is my second Tuesday of the month winner.
Yeah. Bam. So that's the big picture content wise. Now,
cool.
How do I get clients? I establish expert positioning in all 3 of those. So for me on the podcast, that's solo episodes and coaching episodes where I am teaching in a solo episode for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes on a topic that positions me as an expert.
Yeah.
On my newsletter, obviously I'm teaching a lot and it's just strategies and tips. And then on threads, same thing, especially on those long forms. Like that's me teaching and deep diving on a topic. So that's me positioning myself as an expert, where a lot of people that get into podcasting and content creation, well, and podcasting specifically, it's really hard to convert listeners into clients if you never show off what you do as the expert. You're viewed as the person that only interviews experts. And that's a problem when it comes to sales. That's Absolutely. A layer within all the content. And then here's the pro tip. This is the simplification step that more content creators need to take. In my experience, I've been doing this for 10 years now. So I feel like I can say, I've been doing this for a decade. I've got 1,000 episodes. I've crossed 1 million downloads and all that stuff. So, I found that it's much easier to make sales when I use a single call to action across my brand to a discovery call instead of a direct pitch to an offer. Okay. So like if you only have one offer, maybe that'll work. But if you've got a few different things, I can help people at a few different points in the podcasting journey from, the launch to the growth to the monetization stuff. So I will just put a general call to action. Like if you are ready for some help with your podcast launch, your podcast growth, or your client conversion strategies, hop on a discovery call. I'm not pitching to an offer because somebody listening to my show while they're walking on the treadmill or mowing their lawn or driving their kid to school, podcast listeners are much more likely to take that little extra step that's free to hop on and discuss working with you versus making a purchase right there. Well, like they're driving their kid to work, they're not getting their credit card out and buying something, if they're driving their kid to school. So I just hammer that discovery call link and I talk about it on my show. I talk about it in my newsletter. I talk about it on threads. Yeah. And every once in a while, I would say 85% of the time, my call to action is discovery call. The other 15%, I'm doing a specific, if I've got a time sensitive product, a new product launch, raise some awareness around it. Or if I'm sharing testimonials, if somebody is in my online business academy for podcasters and they drop a testimonial, I will mention that, hey, do a 10-day free trial. Go get it here. Yeah. So that's kind of where that other 15% mainly comes from, is from testimonials. And testimonials, again, we layer those in, expert positioning every week. First thing you hear on my podcast is a testimonial. It's not an ad. It's not me talking about MeUndies or a mattress company or anything. It's not even me talking. It's a happy client. First audio you hear. Then newsletter, testimonial, threads, testimonials, Instagram stories, testimonials. So that's from high level down to deep dive. That's how I'm converting listeners into clients.
Dude, that's so enlightening, right? Because I think a lot of people get into this game and they might have 2 to 3 offers, right? And part of it is a confusion to like, where do I actually send people? And what we do is like we say everything, we confuse, and then people don't take action. And we had that issue when we jumped on the studio opportunity, right? Because we had a very solid offer when it comes to production side, where it's like we're your fractional content team, and that's what we did. And now all of a sudden we're like, oh crap! Now we produce podcasts too, because we acquired this business, and where do we send people? And it was so confusing for a lot of people. I think it still is. Like we're still working on it. So. The studio comes people and they think we only do, podcasting, and then we have a discovery conversation, like you said, and then we go into, hey, there's possibilities down the road. If you want extra production, here we go. But now we have Business Creator Club that is launching, we have it on pre-sale, and it's a community aspect of it. So it's super interesting because that's, a lower ticket access point where people can join in. They have resources. But I love the fact of the discovery calls. And, that's how we got traction initially with our 45 Live. We were driving every single conversation to a 20-minute, 15-minute call where we wanted to learn a little bit more about what they did. And that's how the service was born. Yeah. So it's, this is maybe the universe telling me, go back to basics, simplify.
Yeah. And And like, okay, when people are doing discovery calls, this is so top of mind because I just wrote a long form super thread about this that I'm posting today. So this is great.
Awesome.
But I feel like there's two key things that you have to acquire knowledge wise in the onboarding process for an effective discovery call. One, you have to ask this person, what are their pain points? I like to give them like a little checklist. Every little checkbox that they could potentially check, you have an offer that can solve that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how we come up with those checklists. And then the next question is, what is your budget for solving these pain points? So now we know their pain points and we know their price point, so that when we get on the call, we are actually talking about, okay, let's reaffirm the pain points. Makes sense. Here's my action steps that I would recommend taking. And if you want me to help you accelerate through all this, here's the one offer that's the best fit. It fits your pain points. It fits your price point. This is what I want you to do. Yeah. So much simpler. And this is why with everything else that we talked about with the testimonials and expert positioning, you know, if I do 10 discovery calls, 8 of them are jumping in and saying yes. So that helps a ton. Now
that's awesome.
I've got an idea for you.
Yeah.
All right. I got an idea for you.
Oh boy. So let's workshop it out.
Podcast with any membership style of an offer, like you've got your club now, it's a group, right? It's people, it's a community. So this worked for me for my weight loss show. It works for me with my my podcasting business school show. I recommend that people with that membership community style offer start grabbing people out of the community and start doing hot seat coaching episodes and release those as episodes, and then sponsor that episode with an intro outro with a special like 5-day free trial or a discount link or something. Okay. And then at the end, like you go for 15 or 20 minutes at the end, go, hey, what are you loving about the community so far? It's a built-in testimonial, but it's a bonus coaching thing where it's like first come, first serve. I usually would put 3 or 4 on the calendar, just an hour block, and say, hey, each one's 15 minutes, go get them. Can't do 2 months in a row. If you're a new, maybe it's just a newer member thing or whatever. Yeah. But that style of an episode helped me fill my weight loss club membership with my health show. And it's helped me fill things like Download Growth Club and Online Business Academy. Like it's really, it's just proof it's expert positioning. It's a huge value for them, built-in testimonial, and it works extremely well.
That is so awesome. And I remember, as you were mentioning, part of your presentation in the conference is like you show that, stack of, content types, I guess, that you've been doing. And I love how, you got into a very solid system to continue to help people out. And, dude, that's so awesome, man. I think that you gave like a very solid path for a lot of people and like a very clear example on how without a lot of time, you can also be successful at creating your content. And that's awesome. And we sometimes, I tend to overcomplicate everything. I'm like, and we can do this and we can do the other thing. And, we end up with lists of things and open containers that create just more pressure. So I appreciate you, man, for coming in today and dropping these golden boulders, giving me live feedback, which I always love and adore. So I have some homework to do, man. And I think for me personally, and I hope for the people listening and watching, we gain clarity. Sometimes you need to listen from an outside source. Just this morning I was meeting with Matt, our podcast producer, and we have a list of like solo episodes that we've done that could be like a really good written content type deal. And about Fonzie is the one that writes everything. So I'm like, okay, now how are we what's the game plan, right? And it's we've considered reducing frequency as well. And it's like, how can we deep dive in some of this? And we did some research on podcast growth recently. There's a lot of like good information there. And I'm like, man, like this is good. Maybe that's the path that, that we got to take. Maybe that's a newsletter type thing. And we don't have a newsletter. So maybe that's the thing that, we attach. But yeah, man, dude, thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you want to add before, we head out? You came in, dropped the fire.
last bonus tip. This is my golden boulder aha moment of the year so far.
Okay.
I used to have a ton of lead magnets and I've got rid of them all. For one, my newsletter is my only lead magnet, my high value weekly newsletter. And here's why. This is the moment that it was like the frying pan of truth whacked me over the head. The guy that I hired, he said, when you have a scorecard or a PDF download, people just want that. When they opt in for your newsletter, they want your emails. And I was just like, mind blown. Like
Damn.
that they want the emails. That is the value. So so that's why my open rate is so high.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get the scorecard and then they unsubscribe. Like, I don't want all these emails. And
that makes so much sense.
If you have a high value newsletter, which you enjoy and love writing, I mean, it could be the only lead magnet that you need. And I've been putting hundreds of people on my list with this strategy since I flipped the switch and said, there's no other lead magnets necessary. You just need to get on this newsletter. And it's great content that we blow up and put everywhere else. So the flywheel is building itself.
Wow.
Yep. So do it. I'm going to peer pressure you and Fonzie to get a newsletter going.
Yes, dude, 100%. I mean, you don't have to tell Fonzie twice. Well, right now he might be a little overwhelmed. He hasn't slept in like 5 days.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't need to be writing a newsletter in this depleted
he's like,
state.
news what? He's gonna be starting writing content and finishing writing like how to put a baby to sleep, and you know that's what it's in his head right now.
The poopy diaper episode.
The poopy diaper episode. Oh, dude, man. Wow. Okay, you close the episode with a massive golden boulder. So, dude, Adam, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much. You're always, a great figure in the podcasting industry, and every time we see you at events, I can't believe you're that tall.
Well, I mean, since you're 6'3", I mean, that's saying something. I'm like 7'2".
Yeah. For those listening or watching, I am really 6'3".
I mean, of course he is.
But no, as always, man, it's been a pleasure. And like, this is your home. We're going to have you back for the Business Creator Club once it finally opens, and we're going to, talk some tactics and, hopefully, introduce you to some awesome creators. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit podcast. We will see you on the next episode. Take care.